step forward.
Hello. Welcome to the Then and Now podcast. We are here to review the next 2 episodes of Batman Unburied. I'm excited. We had to talk about the show and show off our superpoderes this episode. I'm excited. How you guys feeling about the 3 episodes so far? Well, the 4 episodes that we've seen so far. Before we get in too deep, just like a general, like, are you guys still enjoying to watch or to listen?
Oh yeah, it's still enjoyable. Like every time I listen, I wish every episode was a little bit longer. So I mean, they got me to the point where I want to listen to more. But
yeah,
we'll get to. We said to not go too heavy. Yes, I'm gonna wait.
Right.
Yeah. So and I'm in the same boat. It's gotten better, and I like the idea too. They made the turn that it wasn't. We were hoping for that this was a different, some kind of situations happened, and they've done a really good job of building the mystery and the intrigue. But real quick, before we get too much further, we had to give a shout out to our boy Maurice for A, figuring out roughly who we were by our random personalities, and B, I guess we should actually say who we actually are, because we don't usually do that. Sometimes Dev will in the live show, but go ahead, C Diesel, say your name, the actual Christian, God-given government name.
Government now, yeah. I am Charlie James.
You said a lot of things, like you said
right.
Christian and government name, like that's good.
The separation of God, of church and state, I guess. My bad.
We don't even get that at Chick-fil-A. If they can't separate church and chicken, I don't expect them to separate church and government.
I mean, there is a place called Church's Chicken, so I mean.
Yeah, but that's an edible. Don't go there. Don't go there on purpose.
Hold on. The biscuits are fire. That's not disrespectful. Those are the best biscuits. Some honey biscuits are fire.
One eternity later.
This is a Batman Unburied episode.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure this is Church's Chicken, the review.
Church's Chicken review. Anyway, get into the show.
No, we didn't remember that. That's the point. We're supposed to say our names. That was the point of all of it, was our names.
I am Charlie Wilson. Thank you. I'm C Diesel. We have Mr. Lelouch V to the left of me, Otis East, and we have Mr. Professor E / King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy, to the right of me. So if you're new to the channel, we thank you guys for tuning in, and we appreciate any continued support.
Like, if you're looking at it, like it's literally like right below us too. So if you ever needed to know.
I wasn't gonna say anything to Maurice about that, but I'm like, hey, he figured it out. So
but also I mean, it's in the intro, but it's not up on the actual screen, like which one of us is which.
Right. Because in the intro, I think it is us by. Is it us by our stage names, or is it by our regular names?
It's by our regular names, but also
names,
we don't. It's not like it doesn't. Pictures. We love our boy Nigel, who made the intro for us, but we don't necessarily look exactly like ourselves to the fullest degree.
I don't even have a beard. I got a whole I'm barefaced.
Charlie doesn't have a beard, and he's wearing the cowboy hat. He
looks so evil and sinister. Like, man,
it fits.
Yeah, yours is the most accurate. Yours actually looks pretty spot on. I was like,
it fits. We get a lot of Barbara Gordon in episode 3. I really like her character. I've always liked the Barbara Gordon character. More specifically, I liked her as Oracle. And a lot of stuff, mostly the Arkham series, but getting to see her in action, and first off, we're realizing that in this scenario that she is a detective in the Gotham GCPD, and she has both her legs operable, so she can walk now and fight. And I guess she has a history of either Batwoman or a history of knowing Bruce Wayne as Batman, because she knows his secret identity. So this whole thing is pretty much starts with Bruce Wayne dying in a plane crash. Plane crash. I can speak English, I promise.
You got there.
He died in a plane crash, and she suspects foul play. I almost said fair play. Foul play.
You've had a long day, brother. I'm gonna help you out.
It's been a long day. She suspects foul play, and in suspecting this, she goes on this whole journey to uncover the mystery of Bruce Wayne's death. And in doing this, she brings along Mr. Edward Nigma, or they call him Edward Nashton actually in this one, which I think that's the same name they used for the one in the new movie recently, right? Edward Nashton.
No, they didn't know. In the spoiler alert, they didn't know what his actual real name was. They put out his wallets, and he saw several different IDs, and they said, "Which one is real?" He says, "I'll never tell her." Something like that, like who knows or whatever,
right?
Which typical Riddler thing, yeah.
Right. Riddler thing, yeah.
But interesting enough, it's becoming more of a really big whodunit, kind of like the first 2 episodes, but now this focusing on the whodunit of the murder of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, which
First
is
off,
good because it expands the whole idea of it. It's not just before it was focusing on who is this murderer, the harvester, and now it's then expanded out to who is this harvester, yes, but also what happened to Bruce Wayne, how is he missing, and also brought in new characters, and it's all relevant, it's all tied together. It's not it's a crazy messy mystery. It all makes sense. It all works.
Right. And I'm well, first let's get into Barbara Gordon herself. I got a lot of reminiscence of, this is probably not a good thing for y'all, but I think Batman.
Oh God!
Returns,
don't even talk about. Don't even finish.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that movie
specifically.
No, that one.
That one. Okay.
We're not going to talk about that.
I say that.
No.
I say that.
Why is that coming up?
No,
I say that specifically because there's a scene in the show in which she's trying to hack the black box that was aboard Bruce Wayne's plane, and similarly to the black in the actual movie, it goes through this whole sequence of her trying to hack this thing and it's saying access denied.
That should
Access denied.
Huh. Okay. Well, what if we bypass encryption by...
Access denied.
Ugh.
Access denied.
Okay. Aha!
Access granted.
Access denied.
This better be one hell of a secret.
Access denied. Access allowed.
Like, I remember that vividly from that movie because I had it on DVD, so I watched it over and over again. That's why that popped up in my brain. But again, like I said, I didn't think you guys would like that, but that was something I got at. I don't know if it was a purposeful callback or whatever. I don't know, but that's what I got from that. But I like her character in general. I love her being able to use her intelligence. I like how quirky she is, how she's always on her toes, and you get to see this this sense of not exploration, but exploration into the way she thinks. I think they're developing her character very well. How do you guys feel about Barbara Gordon so far? I guess we'll start with Ethan.
Well, thank you, sir. And that's me. That's my name. That's my name, Maurice. So one thing, Otis already knows what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. I love buddy cop stories, movies, comic books. And
one sec.
That's police. Yeah, we got to run. I got to run quick, man. I love buddy cop stories to pieces. And this, I didn't see it at first, but they managed to have the Montoya and Barbara Gordon relationship, which kind of seemed like a buddy cop. How their dynamic was very different, and I love Renee Montoya, of course. Who doesn't love her? And then when it really got going was actually the buddy cop dynamic between Edward Nygma, or Nash, whatever you want to call him, the Riddler, and Barbara Gordon. They really played off each other really, really well, to the point where when she was, anytime he spatted off some riddles, she could answer them really quickly, or she could just almost in a way kind of stump him or make him think about something too, challenge him in a way. And I like how near the end of the 4th episode, how he actually showed her respect as far as like, he kept saying you're too smart to be a cop, basically. So it's that played really well.
Yeah, going to me, I guess. I really enjoy Barbara's character as well. She is the Barbara Gordon that I kind of expect to see. Well, actually, it's not even Gordon. Her last name is not Gordon. I forgot what.
They do mention her other name, but I mean it's still Commissioner Gordon's daughter.
Right.
But they do mention. But so that's one thing, Otis. They mentioned she said a different name, but I think that she was posing as she's pretending to be somebody different.
You might be right.
Yeah, I think she is Barbara Gordon still.
I think she's still Barbara Gordon. Yeah, she said that false name.
She gave a different name to Vicky Vale so she wouldn't give away that she was to the police officer.
The guy collecting the black box.
Yeah, she was committing a federal crime.
Right.
Yes.
Allegedly.
We've all been there. Allegedly.
Yeah, but I like Barbara. She's cool. She's typical Barbara Gordon. I wouldn't say there's anything about her character here that stands out from things that she's done in the past. The direction that they're going, having her being a detective before she becomes Batgirl or Oracle, I don't mind that spin. It's interesting. It makes sense. I mean, they follow in her father's footsteps. Her motivations seem real legit. I mean, she's just working the case, and because she feels in her gut that Batman's alive. She feels that that it's connected to the harvester, so she's pursuing that line. It makes sense.
Right.
So real quick question, y'all are smarter than me. younger than me too. Does this Barbara Gordon not know, or was she not Batgirl? Because
I don't think so.
I know there's lots of writing on the wall that would indicate that, but she does know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. I don't know that's not common knowledge. I know Enigma knows it. I don't know that her dad ever knew it. I'm trying to figure out how would she know that? How would she come across that information?
I don't think she has. I want to say yes, but the only reason I say no is because I feel like Enigma would have called her Batgirl at some point.
Would have fleshed that out.
Yeah, because
Right.
he knows that she had a relationship with Bruce. And again, she knew Bruce was Batman at that point in time. I feel like it'd be really simple to be like,
that's the other thing too. It's almost like
later.
It's kind of almost like, why would Enigma target her if he didn't know that she was Batgirl also, or didn't think she was Batgirl? Like, why did he just target some random cop?
He knew that she knew who Bruce Wayne was.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because she knows that they have a relationship and they're close. Like even when they introduce Barbara and Montoya's talking to her, they get into like, oh yeah, you had a relationship with Bruce. That's why you're chasing this lead so hard. Like you need to leave that behind. You guys had a relationship. Blah 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 blah. But it's publicly known that.
Yes, it's publicly known, but Montoya was like almost more like under the impression that because your dad knew Bruce Wayne, because I think Barbara Gordon says something to the effect of like, oh, I knew him kind of offhandedly through charity events, that kind of stuff. It almost like she wasn't saying she knew him like really well personally. I could be wrong, but
well, right after that, Montoya made the whole suggestion alluding to them having a romantic relationship or whatever, and that's why they chased it harder, which I think she did not. I don't know that per se in this particular storyline that they're doing, but they have some form of relationship that's significant. And that's her assisting as Oracle with the bad cases or whatever, because she's also very aware of all the different villains that Batman chases, which again could be because she's the commissioner's daughter and she was around all the time. But we'll find out
herself.
But yeah. It's but again, like Otis said, it is a very interesting angle to take, or I guess both of y'all said it more or less. It's interesting that we're covering the idea that she is a detective first and foremost, and what it would be like if Barbara Gordon was in fact Batgirl, but was still just a detective instead.
Which I enjoy rather much so, due to the fact that with outside of a lot of the recent movie with Batman and some of the animated stuff, we don't really get to see Batman utilize his title as the world's greatest detective, and the people that he brings up underneath him, we don't really get to see them do a lot of detective work.
Right.
Outside of, I think most recently they had Nightwing do stuff from Young Justice where he was tracking people down. But
that was pretty dope.
He's actually been done, even back to season number 2. They had Nightwing when he was inspecting like the actual. If y'all remember in season 2 when Blue Beetle like actually when he gets corrupted, he blows the hatch and it's fake. That it says Nightwing.
Open the scene and figure out what happened. Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're getting balls deep into some things here, but yeah.
Bat Family doing detective stuff is always a great thing for me. I'm always
the comics is much more. There are whole books where it's just Batman doing detective work more so than anything else.
I just have one bit of complaint about this, is the fact that it's really fucking predictable. Like as soon as issue 2 ended, I knew exactly what was going to happen in 3 and 4. It didn't really necessarily matter who it was, the person that we were following to discover the things that was happening to Bruce, but I knew Bruce has been captured by somebody. He's under their spell. Somebody from outside is going to find him, and now they have to go and find out who's behind everything else. Like it's so formulaic to Batman stuff. Like I mean, they're trying to throw misdirection in there by saying like, oh, okay, who exactly is this? Who is doing this? But beyond that, this is cookie cutter Batman story. It's nothing.
So one thing that is, and we all saw that coming. I'm pretty sure most people that are listening saw that coming, because there's no way, unless you think that was his real reality, you probably saw in some capacity, yes, that he was under some kind of, something happened to him. He was taken and things were going on. But one thing I do like that I did not see coming was the idea of Barbara Gordon teaming up with the man who stabbed her daddy in the kidney, Edward Nygma. I did not see that kind of a Silence of the Lambs dynamic playing out like the way it did. And obviously, whoever the harvester is, I have no idea. I don't know who it is. I don't think it's Nygma, who is the typical smart one to go to, or Tesh. They make a point to show the Mad Hatter isn't the guy doing this too.
And
so the two most
likely, they made sure to mention him as well.
Really quickly before we get into into Nygma, in regards to Otis's previous comment, I agree with you to an extent, but I feel like part of that, the reason that we predicted that so fast is because we're familiar with Batman content. And again, the first review we did, we talked about 4 or 5 different members of the Rogues Gallery that could have been responsible for that. I have a friend who is not familiar with the content at all. Like she watches MCU stuff and superhero movies and things of that nature, but she's taken by surprise because she's not familiar with his rogue gallery to the extent that we are. And I think that I think the majority of people that are watching this aren't as familiar as we are.
That's
in general, that's why I feel like
that's a fair question. A very interesting thing you pose, because it is listening to a Batman podcast. There are plenty of people that listen to podcasts that aren't necessarily comic book fans and aren't like really into that kind of pop culture stuff as much. So for this podcast to come across their way, it's very likely, like you said, Def, that they wouldn't necessarily know the Rose Gallery that well to think about this kind of scenario. That's possible.
Right.
Yeah. And also the characters that are more likely to do it are like Mad Hatter and whatnot. Mad Hatter is not a mainstream character.
Calendar Man, especially like
Calendar Man's
but yeah, that was my thing. But to get back into your point in regards to the characters, that they kind of did make a point to show that the characters that we thought would be responsible for this are kind of like Artie and Arkham and like not able to do so.
Right.
I think the only one that wasn't there that we talked about was Professor Pig. I don't think they said anything about him, but yet, so he may still be up on the chopping block as the harvester.
Oh, the puns! Oh, that was a good pun. I'll give you. Yeah, that's a pause.
You saw what I was doing. But getting into Enigma, I really enjoy his character to an extent. Obviously, I feel like I've seen his character in a lot of different buddy cop shows. Like he's the run-of-the-mill archetype when it comes to the intelligent criminal that they keep there that you always have to watch your back around. Funny enough, I'm enjoying the riddles. I think the riddles that they're using for him are rather creative.
No, they use a lot of those riddles in previous Batman stuff. Like a lot of them. The majority of them. They do that intentionally, actually, to make sure that you know that this is Batman stuff. Like the
elbow one. I heard the elbow one before, but I think that's like Otis said. It's meant to be a deliberate like callback to previous content. They're not trying to hide that. Yeah.
Well, then shout out to the original writers then, because I enjoy these riddles. And I think one benefit about him and his riddles in particular is that it shows the level of intellect that like Barbara specifically has. I think the last one I remember was the one about like the crook or the flail or something like that, in which she not only had the answer to that, but like all the breakdowns that made the riddle and why it related to him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for her to have that quick level intellect, I'm like, okay, so you're showing Riddler's quirks and his character development, as well as using that as a plot device to give us more knowledge into or insight into the level of intelligence that Barbara has. I'm like, that's pretty good writing to me.
Yes, and also there's another thing too, because that's attached right to that after that riddle with the "I am a crook," and he says, "I am a crook." The idea too is that he says, "I think like a crook," and what we've seen throughout all these past two episodes with all these riddles she's answered, essentially Barbara is thinking like the Riddler, which means she's able to think like a crook too. So it's there's a few layers within there that actually that were pretty well done.
All right. Question for you guys, and this is kind of a theory I would have for the upcoming episodes in regards to the Riddler possibly being the harvester secretly,
or possibly behind it, because he does say that it seems like he may be on, like someone may be forcing his hand, or he may be you know how he's doing. Yeah,
because they discuss because I think, for spoiler alert, for the fourth episode they do tell you who the identity of the harvester is, at least the one they perceive to be. I think Stern was his last name. I can't remember what the first name was of the character. He was a patient at Arkham Asylum, and they said that would be his first time committing a murder. So I took that
hired, for security.
So I would take that as him being manipulated to some extent to commit these murders. So which possibly it could be a Mandarin type deal, like with Iron Man 2, Iron Man 2 or 3. It was the third one, in which the Mandarin was a character that was orchestrated by another person or organization, which
Guy Pearce,
right? Which I could see the Harvester being orchestrated and created by the Riddler. Plus, I feel like a lot of the letters are very similar to Riddles in a sense, the cryptic letters that he writes that give clues to stuff. But that was just the thought process and theory I had in my head as I was watching the fourth episode.
No, that does hold some water. And again, like Otis said, if we're kind of harking back or paying homage to past Batman content, we all know Hush. In Hush, that's part of a story where the Riddler is all roads finally lead to the Riddler, where you find that Riddler actually knows a whole lot more than he was letting on. It's kind of was in a way a mastermind behind some of these things. it's possible that it's a similar situation where the Riddler basically orchestrated all these things from within Gotham. I'm sorry, within Arkham,
Mm-hmm.
just so that he could escape and basically kind of see it all play out in some way. So it's not outside the realm of reason. I agree.
Yeah. Because like how do I word this? Because I've listened to 5 and 6 already, so I'm ahead of where we're covering here. There's evidence that could definitely go to that. I'll just say that there's things.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that brings one other question. Do y'all know how many episodes there are of this? I may have asked this last time too, but
I feel like they're gonna be 10, probably.
it's 10. Okay.
No,
That's my guess would be.
Yeah. I think it's at least another 4 from I would 10 at least. 10 at least.
At least another 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I do have to bring up this right here too. That I mean, we are 4 episodes in, and at this time, we haven't had any Batman, which I'm fine with. I'm not complaining, but we haven't had any Batman in the last 2 episodes. Focused exclusively on like Barbara Gordon and some Montoya and Enigma, and I don't mind. So if you can write a story that well, you're doing something right.
Right. And one thing I enjoyed, the world building is really dope. For obviously you do that with a lot of writing, but like for us to not be able to see what they're portraying and for us to kind of get the vibe and idea of how the people in Gotham perceive their society, or even like the prime example for me was in the police department. Like they built that whole community from all the different voices talking and having their perspectives. Flash, like I vividly saw. Oh my god, damn it! I vividly saw all that, and I really enjoyed that together.
Yeah,
You heard that.
I heard,
yeah. No, but I mean, the series does a really good job at painting a picture for you. Like even though there is no physical thing in front of you, if you the way that they set their ambiance, the music. The tones of the characters, even like they do a good job of really painting a picture for you of what that version of Gotham looks like. I think, like I said, like everything about the series is well done. My critiques on it aren't necessarily on the quality of the project. Well, the product is more so just like the concept of the project. It's like
it's the IP.
Yeah. You can do more.
Yeah, I know what you're going for, but we talked about this at length last time when we visit that, but I agree that it is a very well produced radio show, because it is again I feel like that's why they may have held back on actually having Batman featured prominently, because if Batman's around, he can do some talking and whatnot, but you want to see him throw some punches and that kind of stuff, and by having it where this focuses it to be almost exclusively on a detective type of story. There's a part where Edward's getting beat up by Flask, maybe some other guys too. It seems like
Flask and Friends, yeah.
Flask and Friends, which is the other show coming up next, Flask and Friends.
Friends.
But it seems
we get drunk with our friends.
but it seems very like the way as what we're hearing and the way Barbara is kind of like talking about it. It seems very disturbing, which is really cool. And they obviously earlier moments in the show where they have people getting cut up and stuff, it seems very disturbing too. So when they pepper in the actual moments of action or grotesquerie, it does work really well.
All right. I feel like, especially again, kind of building off your Batman point earlier, I feel like them keeping it very much so detective based. The action scenes are a little bit more suspenseful, because especially prime example being when Bruce Wayne was attacked in the second episode by the Harvester, or maybe the first one. I can't remember.
I think it's the first.
Yeah, it gave me a sense of helplessness in a sense, because if it's Batman, I'm like, oh, Batman's stuff to keep his ass. Like,
yeah,
I hear scuffling going on, but it's Batman. He's trained. I'm not worried about him. But if it's regular Bruce Wayne, he's just a doctor going against a serial killer. There's the unknown of, is he going to survive this? I feel like when you have stuff like that going on, you kind of question it a little bit more.
Yes, and what you're also alluding to, Dev, beautifully, is actually one of the most textbook rules of filmmaking and suspense. The human mind can always create a more vivid image of something horrific than actually what you see on screen, which is why when you watch Jaws is more terrifying before you actually see the foam shark pop out of the water. Which by horror movies, oftentimes they fumble in the sequels, because once you know who the killer is and see him so much, he loses all of his luster and all of his kind of charm. So the idea of Don't watch that movie. But yeah, they did. That's why by having it this way, it's all our mind's eye. Or we can only hear things that are happening. So,
all right. Well, these are great 2 episodes. We can't wait to cover 5 and 6. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on 3 and 4?
Yeah, I have one thing. It's just bad, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Renee Montoya still sounded very attractive. She just does. I love Renee Montoya. And Barbara Gordon, I'm a huge Barbara Gordon fan. I literally named my cane Barbara Gordon after her. So yeah, I think they did a great job casting those 2.
Mr. Lelouch?
3 and 4, I enjoyed. 5 and 6, we got to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll for sure watch them. I'll listen to. I keep saying watch. I'm gonna listen to them. Either tonight or tomorrow. Like before the next time we record, I will have watched them. And
yeah,
we're gonna.
We got stuff to do in a couple of days. But I like how you say watch. If it's such a vivid, you keep saying watch. You slip of the tongue. But if they're doing such a good job making this vivid images in your mind that you keep saying watch, they did something right.
Because I see it in my head, so I'm just like, oh, I'm watching it. But we're listening, and I enjoy. I didn't think I would enjoy this much, but I'm really enjoying this audio series very much so, more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of the Then and Now podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. For all the new people that are watching because of the Batman series, we hope you enjoy this and hope you enjoy the other content we have to offer. Let us know what you guys want to see more of in the comments so we know what kind of content to provide to you guys. We had a lot of stuff we're cooking up now. Another episode of the walkthrough coming, and another episode of Loose Cannons is on the way. So for people that are excited about that, it's coming. So again, thank you guys.
Do you want to tease the?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
Again, my bad. I didn't mean to say it's being so quick.
No. we always said leaving all this in.
Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Then and Now podcast, greatest podcast in the world, the multiverse, and the solar system. We'll see you guys next time.
Church chicken.
Church is chicken. Houdini.
There is a Batman voice coming. I'm just gonna leave it at that.